Hey everyone, how are you doing? Good to see everyone here. Trust you're doing good on this here Friday, the strong end of the week. Love that music, man. I mean, that's 432, and I think a number of other healthy octaves. So, hello, how are you? Strong end of the week is here. Yeah, so good to see everyone. Hey, Al, Big Al, how you doing? Miss Lois, Cajun Queen Tarot, good to see you. Peter, hello, hello, everyone. Hello, Heidi, good to see you. Lost in Space, how you doing? Scott, how are you doing? And Jamma, just so good to see everyone. Susan and Robert, Jack, David, Barry, how you doing, my friend? Eric Green, good to see you. And Sail Chaos. Ain't it so? Marion, good to see you. Truth in Me, beautiful. How are you? Nice Talisman. Yes, this is one that when I started getting into it, man, that I don't know, I was just drawn to. It was like, boom, baby. And yeah, it's up here on my wall. It's one that I wear and charged it the whole bit. Hello, Blanca. Good to see you. Wow, there's just lots of good people here. Just thank you for stopping in. Thank you, moderators. Y'all are the best. You know, you're the groovy people. That's all I got to say. Let me just invoke favor and healing upon us all. May favor and healing be your very best friends, and may they abide in your house always. May there be nothing missing, nothing broken found in your life. That's how we roll here. And, you know, whether you feel good, bad, up, down, upside down, inside out, you know, invoking favor is always the right road to go, even upon your enemy, even the things that scare you. If you invoke favor upon the most hideous thing that could freak you out, right? You take away its power. Boom, baby. So anyway, boy, we got some great responses to the Skyrim. Yes, I know how to pronounce it, but I have my own way. You know, no, I won't say that because we have a very intelligent audience here. But anyway, there's a great retort to that. Maybe at another time, but so looks like we have about, I'd say right now about 30 that are like really in this. And I'm just thinking about this. You know, we could do this on a private broadcast, you know, invitation only. So that might be the way to do it. We'll see how it works with us, and then we'll take it out to the rest of the people. It's like, well, we tested it to this point, you know. No, we'll get thoroughly into it. So anyway, that's just funny. Tonight, Nick Gruel, 9 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock a Mountain, and looking forward to it. Going to be a good conversation, I think, all the way around. Nick is a very interesting individual, and I think it's going to be a lively Viola, how are you doing? Well, you're welcome. Dedication indeed. You know, the wise man was once said, woe unto he who seeks and finds wisdom, for the burden that he shall carry all the rest of his days will be more than he can bear. Isn't that odd? Knowledge comes, wisdom. It's a heavy burden. There's times when I just go, you know what? I wish I just didn't know this. Like, you know, sometimes you just get that, but you know, you got to look at things in a balance, and you know, you can't have just one view. You're out of balance if you just have one view. Maybe that's the problem with us. Lots of responses last night from the Steiger Perspective. And to answer you know, we are breaking 500,000 listen views on the on the artist first. And yes, I do. I think the evidence is pretty well leading to the fact that ET never left. The question I brought up to the audience last night, those of you who watched it, listened to it, excuse me, is what makes man think that we own planet Earth, that we're the highest intelligence here? It may not be that way. It may, in fact, be that there is a previous owner that never left. And they never left. I think we got to get that. They never left. What we see in the sky and, what's obviously now being released through the military, folks, there's somebody else here, and I believe they have the keys to the lock. We don't. So anyway, who knows? They may be at war with us. They may have reached their tolerance. And that is a thought now gaining more momentum that, maybe they're not too happy with us at all. And maybe they're about to pull the plug on mankind and reset the clock. Anyway, thank you for tuning in on the Steiger Perspective. It's great. He phoned home, invited friends. Yeah, that's a fact, Jack. I think that that pretty well states it. And they came, they answered. And what we found out was that got a big family, I mean, we're getting third, fifth cousins now, Yeah, I know he's the guy. And, you're going, okay. And there's no guarantee, by the way, as I said last night, that these are bipedal. They could be quadrupedal. Who knows? But I think we're going to find out. So this is kind of like just a day in review. Got a lot of questions. We've covered a lot of material. People got questions on sigils, spells, spirits. Yeah, well, we're all of the above in one form or another. So I thought I would show you again, maybe a little review of, give me 1 second here as I get this ready. Just talk amongst yourself, all right? Just don't mind me. And as he goes over here, I do know where I'm going. It's just that y'all don't know where I'm going. Therein lies the mystery. All right, got that going. So kind of helping some of you out on working your sigils. So this is kind of what I laid out. As you can see, you can do your own. When I lay out the sigils, I like to get crystals, like to just find out, particular where the energy is kind of flowing. And you can see, folks, it's not that difficult. Once you get the intention formed in your conscious and thoroughly embedded in your subconscious, it's almost a semi-trance. You can see some of these look very complex, but I can assure you they're really not that complex. And you can see I use this quite often, and if you'll notice everything on that, there is no line left open. And I highly encourage you to find that sigil, that symbol that gives you protection. Now, these vary from protection to wisdom. There's quite a few. And, I just kind of let, how the spirit flows, so to speak. Now, I did this so everyone can begin to see in becoming more orientated to smoke. Smoke, in this case, was specifically frankincense and myrrh. Um, and it's very interesting to see how the smoke really does begin to take on almost a life of its own. And this was my first time, and you can see it quite literally. Um, it's quite amazing. And as you look at the pictures, now it's difficult when you're, I can tell you how you need to do it. You know, the thing about raw frankincense and myrrh is that they have to have a pretty hot, continuous source. But once it catches, it does the most remarkable thing. A lot of times, some people don't like the smell. I don't have a problem with it. But as you can see, it's quite interesting photography, number one. It's rather fascinating for me to check that out. I mean, I can see like this one here. This one, yeah, I mean, this is art to me. Poetry in motion, if you want to say. Look how the smoke takes on almost a form of its own. I mean, it's quite, I'm going to experiment more with this. And you can actually see the frankincense down in the right-hand corner. Check that out. Again, just some of the more interesting pictures. So this is how we do it, folks. This is how we learn. This is how we explore. And it's quite interesting. If you have an open mind, you know, the universe will open its mind to you as much as you can take. And sometimes it always does it in overabundance, is how I've seen this. Yeah. Jamit, that's a really good observation. Yeah. Looks like it does make its own sigils. I agree. It's quite interesting because as you, and for myself, I'm just speaking how I experiment with this, is I don't get the same with when I smudge, but with those particular ingredients, the frankincense particularly, the myrrh as well, but the frankincense, wow. You know, it comes from a tree, a special tree, and I can't help but not think that all trees have spirits, have life forces to them, that in essence, we're, I don't know, invoking the essence of that tree spirit. There's a lot to this, and you just have to choose your own path. For me, I'm becoming very comfortable with it. And it's fascinating. I hope you try it yourself. It's, who knows, you may come up with some really, you know, what I would call far out information for the rest of us. Jamma says myrrh is bark, frankincense is sap. There you go. There's Nick. How you doing, buddy? Seeing you later on tonight. So let's move on. I have something I want to share with you, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So this comes out annually. This is the Llewellyn. This is 2019, the Magical Almanac. Folks, this is just, it's a delightful thing to have, a book. It's quite amazing, actually. And I wanted to show you a lot of contributors on this. And it's, yeah, it gets into psychic healings, the Archangel of Magic, Raziel, the Magic Hat, witchy business, navigating online, magical marketplace, rethinking the wheel of the year, just a number of categories, disabilities and witchcraft, urban elemental gardens, crafting magic in small outdoor spaces, house guardians, how to bring in, you know, the very wealthy hire security. We can do the same thing in the spirit realm. You really can. Anyway, we're going to get to the magic earth. And what I wanted to show you, is this not just the coolest thing? Let's see if I can bring that up. No, I can't. The artwork on this is just fantastic. What I wanted to show was that they talk about the 13 essential crystals and their many meanings. As you know, crystals have remarkable power, energy. We're going to have Karen, Queen of Quartz, on this, talking more about the crystal network. We're breaking new ground in this community. So here's quartz. The author went on to say, he says he can't say enough about quartz crystal. He says it's my go-to stone for nearly everything. It comes in different terminations, the way that the facets come to a point, inclusions, things inside the stone as it was forming. I mean, there's so much going on here. Hues, clarity. Quartz is a form of silicon dioxide and is one of the most abundant minerals on our planet. It's even found in your own brain in the form of silica. How about that? Many beaches contain vast amounts of quartz sand too. Very different feeling. So it goes on to talk about, you know, how you should have such upon in your house. He goes in to each one. This is carnelian. Looks like glass. It polishes so very shiny. Talks about rose quartz. This is just a fascinating read. Quite beautiful, the artwork. Moonstone. Moonstone is soothing to the frayed nerves with its soft texture and its pearly iridescence. That's what I love about opals. In my opinion, opals are one of the most beautiful stones that the earth, in my opinion. Citrine, what is that? Rhodochrosite. There we go. Malachite, agate, you know, all of them. So, encourage you to, if you can get this, there's tourmaline, fluorite, amethyst. And amethyst, by the way, is again a very powerful spiritual stone. We know this. You know, thank you, Lisa. You know, this is, I mean, is that not far out looking? Come on. I mean, how beautiful is that? That came from Mother Earth. Anyway, I digress. It talks about storing your stones. I keep mine in I had someone knit me a little pouch, and that's where I keep them in. So anyway, just thought you'd like to see this. We're kind of just going over things here. This is just, it's kind of like, to me, the Farmer's Almanac, magic and cats and cat deities. It gets into, if you're a cat owner, there's a lot going on there in your life. Some people have dogs, and, you know, it kind of speaks as well. Cats, there is a magical component to cats, feline power. the feminine. You know, cats are very interesting, and there's a lot to this. A lot of things that we just know. House wards and how to have house guardians, adding a layer or several of protection to your home. What I did, and I've known about this in spirits, but I went around my property, charging those spirits that are on my side to defend me, to protect me, that they stand guard on my property. And I've never released them. They're still there. Now, you can believe it or not, but I happen to believe it. Obviously, that's why you have a double circle. If you're going to make your circle of power, your circle of magic, however you want to term it, always do the double. That's kind of like amplifying that power, the protection, and make use of that space in between the two circles. Anyway, these are the things that we learn. This anyway it's just a cool book. We may go through it more, but when I went through it, it's like I said, it is the Farmer's Almanac. So yeah, well, have to look into that. Now we got others that we're going to get into, and I will pull some of those up here. Trying to think which one. All right. So, all right. I want to see if this is the right one. Talk amongst yourself, please. You know, don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm trying to find the next thing here. That isn't what I was looking for. So give me 1 second. I have something pulled up here that isn't it. So how's it going? How's the weather there? Oh, there we go. All right. So let's continue. I had a lot of questions about sigils. Some people have a difficult time making them. Apply the KISS principle. Keep it simple. Now, there are some great books. I mean, great books. As he reaches there. Unfortunately, this one, in which I really recommend that if you can, I can't find it on PDF, and it's not available in Kindle either. It's just in paperback. But this one really helped me understanding how you can take other sigils that are specifically, let's say, in areas of protection. These sigils work as great templates, and there's nothing wrong in adopting it. We're going to get into why this one, when I started reading and studying and getting into, this one really pulled me. This is the fourth sigil of Jupiter, by the way. And I mean, this is just a great book. It's I always consider it kind of like the technical manual to help you understand. And I mean, practice. That's what I do. I have a whiteboard over here. And, you know, when you look at some of these that become complex, now notice how that every line on here has a meaning. And this one here is in the aid of focusing. And when you're drawing these out, they pull you into a semi-trance state. If you're empathic, have psychic, clairvoyance, other abilities, this one will definitely help begin to train your mind. Here's one. Let me get to this first one. This one here is protection from events of bad luck. Now you can see, and each one of the ends on these, you will see that some have triangles, some have half circles, some have lines. Each one has a specific meaning, and you can see there is no open line here, none. This one is protection from nightmares. I'll get this one up for you. Let me see. There we go. Notice the structure. You can put sigils within sigils, as you will notice the circle down there, but notice that the circle is independent of itself. So, and each one of these have specific, here's one, banishing of negativity. Powerful, isn't it? Maybe the most advanced language out there, but this is really a cool book. Recommend that if you can get it. Now, we do have both of these books, The Practical Sigil Magic by Freiter. We do have these on PDF. This is a good practice book, Sigil Witchery. Excellent book to practice on and give you an idea. Again, we have this. The books obviously have much more in the area of graphics, but you can see it teaches you about the scales, how you begin to incorporate that into your sigil impression. Each one has, and you can adapt to your own end as well. Once you learn, and depending on how creative you are, each one of your lines can have one of these closures. When you look at the crescents, that's one that we see regularly. Explains to you why. You can practice making them. And, how many of you were doodlers growing up? I was. I never realized it, folks. We were drawing out sigils. I can remember in the 5th grade, my notebook was covered with, lines and triangles, spears. Yeah. What we were doing, if we had just known, if we could have gone to a school of enlightenment, what the teacher would have had us doing was then to become more into it and understanding what was being communicated. And unfortunately, they indoctrinated out of us. Well, there you go, David. Man, get out of my head. But yeah, she gives you a lot of, exercises to do. And I love drawing. I love it. You've seen a lot of my mandalas. And just practice. There's a lot of different sigils theories. I mean, as you can see, I have this one marked off for a specific reason. It's no need, but I can just show you what caught my eye. And, this is the kind of stuff that once you begin to get it in you, you'd be surprised to see how it will come out. Now, I have learned two types, and that is, what I would call the rigid, sharp angles, and, circles, half circles, triangles, etc. But when you get into free form, it's almost like automatic writing. You'll be quite amazed to see what actually you produce. It's it's like, wow. Now, is this out, or are we pulling? Again, I'm dropping into conversations, and it's like, I don't. What was said? Say what? Say what? Now, I've had a lot of questions again, and we've got this one in PDF on charging talisman. You know, in my collection, I have quite a few. This is a very recent one to the collection. Let me get the camera right. There we go. And I'll show it once I get out of here. But charging them is not that difficult. It's really kind of simple, to be honest with you. It's like, okay, yeah. And I have this document, smudging, you know, I was reading someone actually is making their own. I have found a number of varieties. I use one that does have, it's a beautiful white sage, but it also has rose leaf embedded in it. And it's quite thing. Now, I do recommend frankincense, but it's not required. Choose an incense of your particular flavor. Sandalwood is a good one. I like sandalwood. An altar, and it's nothing really elaborate. Listen, it's a place where you can set what you need to set. You can call it a table if you want. I typically will actually draw out my circle of protection, and that takes me anywhere from 20 minutes to as much as an hour. It just really depends what the purpose is. Conduct a smudging cleansing to clear the room of all residual energies. That's really important. Set up your altar, light the frankincense, pass the talisman through the smoke, place the talisman at the center of the altar. Take a piece of paper large enough to wrap it around the talisman. And, you know, this can be an amulet, can be anything, a charm bracelet. You just wrap it, the talisman, in the paper. You may also write sigils or symbols on the paper as well. Any that resonates you. I encourage this. And the reason why I do is that when you literally make something with your own hand, where you're having to focus exactly what is the intent. Why am I charging this? You know, and what is the intent? I have to have that so clearly defined. Otherwise, ambiguity will kill you in this. You won't have favorable results, and you'll become discouraged and disappointed, and you'll say it doesn't work. No, it's just you have to practice. So write them down. Write it on a paper if you have to, you know, get some paper and put it in there, what it is, you know. You may have what one of our good folks in the community make, you know. Charge them. Prosperity. You know, I'll tell you a little secret. Ask for wisdom. Seek wisdom every time. It'll make you rich. Anyway, you'll find out that being rich isn't all that important. There is something that's far greater than what material wealth can bring. Anyway, I digress. Now, what I do is that I'll sit there, get very quiet. I'm in my circle. I actually have a robe that I use. I have looked at that and thought about it, and this is what I was led to do. And so I'll just sit there and just kind of literally just put the sigil that I have drawn, and I'll put the intent around my sigil. And I just see it, and I begin to see it emanating energy, sending out this frequency. And once you have that, then unwrap the talisman, pass it through the incense again. Now hold the talisman and just sit there with it in your hand, and just begin to think about it. Think about the energy that's being charged to it. And that it's like once the switch is thrown, the symbols will begin to activate themselves. It's a strange thing, but that's what I have found. Light the sage smudging stick again, pass it the smoke over the talisman and smudge yourself. And that's it. Now, I do something a little different. 1 second here. I will absolutely banish the imagery. And so I burn it. I actually have a burning ritual that I do, and that banishes it, because the idea is that you don't want to meditate on it. I mean, once you've charged it, once you've sent the intent and the purpose is then to banish the memory of it and let the energy, in this case, of the sigil. Julianne says no rules. Yeah, they're you once you learn the basics, it's like coloring. You start out in school, you learn the basic colors, right? And then you begin to find out, oh, now I can mix and match the colors. And then you go off on your creativity. Yeah. So I hope that answered some questions, some answers for some people. Okay. I'm checking them off my list. Next. All right. So, we covered in one of our sessions on the magic of Solomon, and a lot of emails on this one. And I thought we would revisit it again, because as you now see what we just covered in sigils, you can begin to see what happens. Now, this is one that you can actually build yourself. This gets powerful. I have not done one of these 8-pointed squares. I attempted to do one, but it's pretty powerful stuff. This one, you can begin to see what's going on here. And as we look at the sigils now, you can see that a lot of this is powerful. These would be the type of people I'd like to have tea with, because this is my kind of, if your head is in this place, I think that's a pretty far out place. I mean, and so I'm going to go slow, because now you can begin to see why we see the archangels, archdemons, however you want to call it. Depends on your point of view. But folks, these are electrical beings. I often wonder if maybe those that were learning this, can you imagine who taught them this? Wow, that could really get into your head. But I think we can all now see that there is psychically, when I look at this now and start even briefly getting into a meditative or a trance-like state, this is powerful imagery. I mean, it's the kind that speaks to your spirit, your soul. And you can see the complexity of numerology. I mean, there is so much that you can add to this. This is why it's incredible. of what's being actually said here, what's being invoked. I look at these as, you know, to plug into a light socket, you have to have both a male and female, right? I get the idea that this is kind of like the plug that goes into this huge spiritual, unseen energy field. And many of us know that this is, of course, Hebraic. And again, look at the symbols. We can recognize them. Quite interesting, isn't it? This is the kind of stuff that just compels me to dig deeper. Because this is not the common individual. It's like walking down Lexington Avenue in New York City. If you were to walk up it right during lunch, you know, when literally it's as big as a 4-lane highway on the sidewalks, but you can't find a place to almost walk, and say, have you studied the Solomatic symbols and sigils, and have you given much thought as to what it's actually opening up? They're likely to call the cops on you. You know, don't talk to me, you know, but it's this powerful, powerful imagery. Look at that, folks. And so as I was going through, here's Gabriel. And again, the problem I have with this type of magic here is that this is obviously dealing with the Hebraic deity. And I have no doubt that this deity exists. It's just that I don't have a contract with it, and thus I have no desire to do any business. But now this is the one that I have right here. It's powerful. It really is. I've studied it. I've seen it in my dreams. So, and others may pull you in, and you can begin to see the complexity. So when you're creating, and you can, by the way, create your own symbols. There's nothing that says that we have to immediately adapt to something else. I'm kind of like this, is there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing preventing me to using elements within elements for my own purpose. But you can see the complexity now when you study these. You can see in here there is no open lines. Here's Raphael. This is Sigils. Each one of these angels has their own symbol. Powerful stuff. Let me see. Yeah. So here are all the seals in themselves. Quite intricate. And anyway, we won't get back into this. This is when we were often beginning to compare this to electrical schematics. So yeah, I mean, pretty far out stuff, isn't it? At least I do. I find it fascinating. It's older than what most people can even fathom. It's powerful. It works. Well, excellent, Richard. Yeah, it is a great read. Yes, it is. a little different take on history than some organized organizations would rather not have out. I know. I put that series out there from Glenn that he did, and holy crap. Yeah, there were just a few people that were not too happy with that situation. But hey, listen, we're finding out things about history that, well, wasn't quite right to begin with. Yeah, imagine that. Oops. And this is why, we're going to be getting into this. I was doing some of this last night, and folks, I'm going to tell you what. Wow, I mean, it's like it's like a gateway saying, come on, Steiger. They're inside going, hey, don't forget about us. Yeah. All of our friends, our rowdy friends, right? I can see people now going, yes, they do. David Barry, that is an excellent observation that in your magic circle, as you can see the triangle that I have. Now, I use that triangle primarily to bind anything that tries to penetrate the protection barrier. But for instance, you can do an 8-pointed star, which is actually two squares counter parallel to each other. That opens up a whole new level. I mean, Frater warns us about that, but he also encourages that those wizards, magicians, sorcerers, witches, that it's how we begin to elevate in let me just say this. There are some spirits, some energies that will not approach you. Are they willing to help us? Yes. To answer your question, they are willing to help you. But I have encountered this myself, that there are, I'll just call them elder spirits. I don't know. Maybe a different classification, different level, but they won't approach until you reach a certain level of, I can say, maturity, knowledge, familiarity. Because I think that if they approach the novice, it would probably short circuit the novice, but they're there. And I'm eager to see how far I can go while I'm still in this physical form. So, yeah, just thought I'd pass it on. By the way, we do have other resources. To let you know, this one we have right here. This is the Encyclopedia of Secret Signs, Sigils, and Symbols. Kind of gives you, again, for those, and listen, that's why I have them in my library. I go back and reread it as well. Understanding the different shapes, how they come about, gives you, for instance, even the dot. Who'd have ever thought that a dot was so complicated? But actually, the dot means that it's a symbol of absolute in the Hindu belief. The circle, a lot of people don't know these things. You can see Hermes there behind me. Yeah, he's a cool dude. But the point is, with the circle, it represents God. God is a circle whose center is everywhere and circumference is nowhere. Yeah, put that one in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah. Say what? All of the planets in the astrological charts and in the heavens themselves are all circles. Isn't that odd? We talk about the arc, the vertical line, the horizontal line, the cross, the square, the lozenge, the triangle, the diangle, the zigzag, and this is not a pack of rolling papers. Oh, man, going back in time on that one. Oh, man. They had some of the worst papers. They had some wheat straw paper. I mean, smoking that was like just picking up a piece of bark. And anyway, I digress. All of these have a part. This is a great book to have. If you want the PDF, it's a good one to have and for your library. We also have the practical magic of sigil magic here, and it teaches you how to express your desire. It's always in past tense. Never put it in future tense. You already have something. And it teaches you how to break it down, how to then take it from the letters, the simplicity of the letters, how you can begin to build it out, add to it, increase it to where you eventually get what you're looking for. Great pieces of information. More than welcome to have them. It works. So far out, eh? Yeah. And when you find out what these sigils are, particularly, I can, whether Solomon ever existed or not, it came from somewhere. And I've tested, I've kicked the tires. This stuff works. It really does. I understand the principles of faith. I had that well down in Christianity. Knew exactly what faith was. I knew individually that within us, in Greek, it's actually the word is dynamis, which means we get our word dynamite from. That's what faith is within us. It's this dynamis power that is equal to the universe itself. Who'd have thought? Us. Maybe that's what those ETs are wanting. I don't know. I believe he was, Peter. Yes, I believe he was. Yes, the hour has gone by quick. There we go again. And but I think it's good that we take some time, some of this, and look back, because it gets we cover a lot. One person said that their head hurts when they come and visit the channel. Well, I understand, but let it flow, as the mighty river flows, find yourself as you go. Yeah, I'm a poet and didn't know it. Oh, fantastic. All righty. Well, tonight we got Nick Rule. Join me and Nick if you can. I think it's going to be an interesting hour of conversation. I'm curious to hear his thoughts, his perspectives on things, and I think you will as well. Regina, thank you. What was the name of the book? Which one? The one I showed earlier? I'm trying to find out. An hour is never enough. I know. Let's see. I'm trying to read this as I go, as I'm driving, Anyway, 2 books that we have here that I do recommend. What do I do with it? Practical Sigil Magic. Get it on Amazon. And and this one next week we're going to explore. I've tried to get this one outside of the paperback. It only comes in this one. But I've read some things in here. Wow. I think it's going to give us a little bit of an insight in how we can get certain spells, particularly the ones that benefit us, that harm no one else. Those are the best kind. You know, if you want to do a spell that would counter someone's will, then that's not a spell that you want to become known with. Just saying. Okay. All right, folks, I'll see you tonight here in about, I don't know, 6 hours, thereabouts. So have yourself a good afternoon. Thank you, Al, Big Al, appreciate it. Thank you, Miss Julianne, all the moderators, and thank you for everyone who joined us. You know, even those who didn't like the hour, that's okay. We just speak favor over you and, you know, keep coming back. You'll warm up to this. All right. All right, folks. Peace. Appreciate you. We'll see you later. All right. Bye-bye.